Good morning, everyone.
I'm good.
How are y'all today? Today's date is March 25th, 2022. It's a Friday. It's 9:30 a.m. So we'll go ahead and begin our work session. First item we have is our auditor.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am going to have some budget amendments for revenue and expense on Monday.
Okay.
I have at the moment.
All right. Treasurer's report. She's not here, so okay.
We already did all that.
All right. Our next item is Andy Hart from AgriLife.
All right. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for having us. First off, I'd just like to, I want to introduce, we've got a new ag extension agent that's going to be working with us, Tristan Galindo. Previously, several years back in extension all across Texas, there was assistant agents in every county, and that's kind of how agents were trained, and then hopefully that kind of made them more developed where they would be successful, in their career going forward. So they're starting a few assistant positions back, and Michael Clausen had asked me several months ago if we'd be willing to train one here. So Tristan started with us in January. I'm going to let her introduce herself and tell a little bit about herself, and then I've got some highlights that I'll cover in a minute. So, turn it over to you, Tristan.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name's Tristan Galindo. I am the Assistant Ag and Natural Resource Agent, like Andy said. And I'm from Marathon, Texas, which is a very small town in Brewster County. I grew up showing steers and pigs through 4-H, and my experience showing livestock through 4-H really drove me to want to be a county agent. And so I graduated high school with my associates, and I went to West Texas A&M, where I recently graduated from this past December. I majored in animal science, and this coming fall I will be starting my master's in ag education at WT as well. So this past summer I had the opportunity to intern with Dr. J.D. Ragland, the ag agent in Randall County. It was an amazing experience. I helped him with validating livestock, and I helped him with his sorghum iGrow study, which we were trying to determine weed control in grassy and broadleaf weeds. But my internship ended before I could see the final results. But I also had the opportunity to start a bi-county volunteer training with Randall and Potter County. I asked fellow agents and our 4-H District 1, our District 4-H specialist in District 1 if they would speak on topics that I thought would be important for our program managers and volunteers to know more about. But while my internship was short, I learned a lot, but I'm ready to continue to learn and gain more experience from Andy and the other agents in our office. The past 3 months have been very amazing, and I've enjoyed it so much, and I'm just excited to be part of the county.
Welcome.
All right, thank you.
And we're very fortunate to have Tristan. We think she's going to be a great addition to our staff, but fortunately in her position, she's 100% state funded. So, we get a free employee for somewhere between a year and a half that I think she's going to be an awesome addition to our staff.
Utilize.
So who's she's replacing? No.
Hey, Andy, I might have some things I can teach her, so turn my way.
But I think this would be a great opportunity, and she's got an amazing background. She's already been, like I said, she started in January. She's been helping us quite a bit with some of the 4-H programs and some of the ag programs that we're going to cover here in a minute. So not only will she be learning, but she'll be a great addition to hopefully expand our programming, both education and adult-wise. I just wanted to cover a couple of brief things that we've been doing the last few months. It's been several months since I've come in and interpreted our program. We thank y'all for your financial support. All the things we're fixing to cover, we couldn't do without that, so we do appreciate that. We did have the Hale County Stock Show back in January, so for the last about 3 months, that's pretty much what I've been doing is stock showing. So we did have the Hale County Stock Show back in January. I was very proud this year. Every grand and reserve of all the different species did come from Hale County 4-H this year, so I thought that was really neat. I enjoyed having that, and then also, more importantly to me, every one of the senior and junior showmanship for all species besides 2 were also won by Hale County 4-H members, so I thought that was a really successful stock show for us. Then we also participated in Fort Worth, San Antonio, San Angelo, Houston, and Austin. Some of the highlights there in Fort Worth, we had the reserve champion Duroc Hog with Briley Byers from Abernathy 4-H. We also had the reserve Grand Market Lamb, Graham Newsom. And then we had several steers that made the sale there as well. In San Antonio, we had several sheep, pigs, and steers that made the sale. In Austin, we had the champion fine wool cross, Market Lamb, which was Graham Newsom. We also had the reserve Grand Pig overall, Briley Byers. And we had 12 kids participate in the meats judging contest at Fort Worth. And we had the 5th place overall team there. And then at San Antonio, we had 15 kids that we took to the meats judging contest. And we had the 4th and 10th place teams at those particular contests. So we've got a really good volunteer in Abernathy right now that is training our meats judging teams. And we've got about 25 kids that are doing meats judging. So that's a really good program that we're going to see lots of success going forward. We've got kids from 3rd through 12th grade participating in that right now. So we're pretty excited about that upcoming program. Back in February on the 8th, we had our Mid-Plains Ag Expo, our crop production conference that we had that we partnered with Swisher County on. And Blaine Reed and myself kind of facilitate and host that. And we had that in February. I think we had about 40 participants come to that meeting, but it was an extremely good meeting with lots of good presenters. We tried to really cover on some new technology that will hopefully benefit some of those producers as we look going into the future. We also hosted a profitability workshop back the 1st of March at the Extension office. We had a few producers come to that, and our district economist as well as some of our state ag economists came and put that program on. We just recently started livestock judging, and we've got about 20 kids that'll be doing livestock judging. I'm coaching that. We're actually going to leave in the morning and go to our first contest in Clarendon, and then we'll go to several other contests, and our district competition will be coming up in April. And then we've got several kids doing grass identification, soils judging, horse judging, and several other contests we've got coming up. Next week, we're going to have our county fashion show that Audra will be facilitating and hosting, and Tristan, of course, will be helping her with that. So we've got lots of involvement from the youth in the county. We are getting ready on April 5th to host the Caprock Beef Cattle educational series. We're going to have a risk management program at our office and during lunch that day. And we've got the District 1 ag economists coming to talk about risk management and the cattle markets going into the future. And so that's kind of the main things that we've done the last few months. And there again, we're excited about the involvement we have in the program. We're hoping to continue growing our adult programs as well as the conferences and stuff we've got coming up. So any questions you guys have?
I think you're doing a good job.
As I told Chris, after the stock show, my fuel budget's probably gone.
Yeah.
You know, the fuel went up right before I left, so we'll see. But
We know that wrong.
thank y'all very much. We
All right,
appreciate
thank y'all. Nice to meet you, ma'am.
Awesome.
All right, the next item we have on today's agenda is from the Crisis Center of the Plains. Basically what they have done, they have the event they call Walk a Mile in Her Shoes as a fundraiser. They've been doing that the last couple of years out at Ollie Liner, and they want to move it back to the courthouse ground.
For years, they did it around the courthouse.
Yeah.
I thought they did.
And so that's what I know about it. I don't know when it is. I don't know anything other than that is what the gist is. They're wanting the court to allow them to come back and hold the event here at the courthouse grounds.
And I've done it several times over the years, and it's a neat thing, especially when you have somebody in your family that's been in that violent situation. But it also gives a new meaning to walking in high heel shoes around. And red high heel shoes.
I was thinking about nominating you to do it.
I probably will this year. I haven't done it in a couple of years.
He probably still has his shoes.
Maybe more than that.
I don't mean that everybody in the room knows Beverly Wall. Anyways, when they first started it, they would get the shoes from the Lubbock. thing and get them. So one of the years when they first got their own shoes, me and Beverly were sitting out there talking, she said, I said, where do y'all get those? And she looks at me, she said, you really wanna know where we get these shoes? Cause they're high heel shoes, but they're built for men's feet, not women's feet. And Beverly looks at me and she goes, we get these, you can order them online where transgender and all those people order their stuff. And I looked at Beverly and went, okay. But it's a good thing, I think.
Okay, and she may be here Monday. I wouldn't privy to that conversation with Rocio, so, but that is, I hope she's on Monday's agenda. Let's see here. Okay, so she may be here to visit with us about that, but that's basically what they're looking for, is opportunity to move back downtown, so. All right, that concludes today's agenda. So let's look at our Monday's agenda.
Judge,
Yes, sir.
can I ask a favor and talk about my items?
Oh, yes, sir.
I've
Go.
got a hearing at 10, I need to.
No, go ahead, Jim.
Um,
This is item number 7 on Monday's agenda.
I got, I think, 3 things on the agenda.
Yeah, 7 and 8, I'm sorry.
First one is just as, not as county attorney, but as a member of the band boosters, we're hoping to hold our, the band banquet at the Holly Liner Center, and we have little to no money in our budget to pay rent, so we're gonna be asking y'all to waive that as, and it basically, really, it amounts to us renting it on, basically for the school district, so they don't have to go through whatever red tape that would take, but, so that's
I
one
thought we
thing.
already agreed to excuse it.
I don't know.
Well, see, because that's what I was fixing to say. We've always looked at like the 4-H stock shows and all that, and kids based and all that, and we just let y'all have it for free.
Well,
I thought we
apparently they
already-
had called and were told it'd be $375, so that's why they called me to see if I could.
Okay.
work
Well, we
some
can-
magic, so.
We'll use the Monday meeting to
Yeah.
clarify
Yeah,
that, so.
yeah, we can do that, but that's my understanding,
Yeah, we thought
we've
we-
always done it.
And then the other 2 are as county attorney, and one is to consider setting a hearing, the public hearing that's required to establish a reinvestment zone. There is another solar project that is looking at north and maybe slightly northwest of Abernathy. I can't remember for sure on the map, but and it's going to be, if they build it all, it would be a 500 megawatt solar farm and then battery storage facility. And they're a little early in the process. It probably won't be built and actually operating for another couple of years, but the legislature in their infinite wisdom has allowed the Chapter 313, which is the school district's economic development vehicle, to expire at the end of this year, and so there is a huge mad rush on to get things submitted for the Chapter 313 program to the controller's office, and I think their deadline is, I think they've been told that they need to try to get something submitted by May in order to have a chance of getting it approved by the end of the year. And I heard from another, the guy that worked with, Oxy and White Energy, carbon dioxide recapture plant. He had sent me an email. He said they have $30 billion worth of projects that they're trying to get shoved through that pipeline. So anyway, I'm going to ask you to be setting that for your May 9th meeting, and we can talk a little more about that on Monday. And then the next thing is, if I can.
The contract on the
Oh, yeah.
elections.
Joint election contract with the school district. It's pretty standard. It's just, the May election for the runoffs, and there's a couple of constitutional amendments that we have to do anyway. And then this just allows them to appoint Latrice as for the county to do the election jointly with the school district in the I guess, precincts where that's applicable, and appoint Latrice as the early voting clerk and things like that, so those are the things.
All right. Any questions of Jim? All right. Thank you, Jim.
Thank y'all, thank you
Yes,
for
sir.
letting me go first.
Uh-huh. Okay, and then that takes us down. Melinda, do you have anything different?
The only thing I have is I put the, Watch It with Cyber Defense Service, a statement of work back on the agenda, only so that I did get clarification that all you need to do is initial these places where indicated, and then also authorize an authorized contact, and that's it.
Okay.
And then we'll be done with that
All right.
process.
Okay. I'll have the Petersburg EMS run and financial report for March. I'll also present to us that we have completed all of our paperwork on the reimbursement of the audible voting machines. And so Latrice got all that she needed from Hart, and we were able to, Rocio uploaded all that, and I was able to forward that to them on their DocuSign. And so we have done all that we can do. And so we're just waiting on, we did sign up for direct deposit on the reimbursement. And so I'll alert Ida and Melinda to be on the eye for that, because Latrice said she had heard that some counties said they already got their monies back. So, and then and then the next thing is the state. Damon Allen was a Texas highway patrolman who was killed, shot on the side of the road by a guy that had been released on a bond. The magistrate really, in my understanding, didn't do anything that he shouldn't have done, but he didn't have all the information that he could have had on the guy, and maybe it changed the way he would have dealt with him. And so the legislature addressed this issue, and they come up with what they call the Damon Allen Act. The issue is that it has greatly complicated, help me out here, Judge, it's greatly complicated the magistrate process.
The bonding process.
And the bonding process. And when I say greatly, it's taken it, we have to do it locally, but now we have to go through all these processes with the state in order to get information from the state. We have to be able to document that. That affects the clerk's offices also. They have to generate reports. We have to generate reports and send them to the state every time we arraign or magistrate someone. And so, and all of it goes into effect on April 1st. All the forms that we would need and the process we would need will be completed by March 31st. And so there's no learning curve type situation. So we had a meeting the other day with Judge Serpoli and all the people that magistrate, and Carla's office and the DA's office, and we were just deciding what we needed to do, because if all the magistrates had to be involved, then we all have to take an 8-hour course in order to run a teletype, even though we won't really run the teletype. But
Well, the state has gone in and created a whole different website. Typically, when somebody is booked in, we run a criminal history on them. By law, we got to, because that tells us where to put him in the jail. But now it's going to tell a magistrate how to bond that person, how to set the bond on that person. So now, what we have, like the jailers have 4 hours TLETs, which is criminal history. That allows them to look at every criminal history. To run it, you have to have 8 hours. And our dispatchers have to have like a week long of it. and they're the ones that run it for us. They hand it to the jailer. They're very particular about these criminal histories. We get audited by the state every year. You have to sign for the criminal history, saying you got the criminal history, what the criminal history was being used for. You know, if an investigator does it, he puts investigation. Jail does it, it's for processing. To give you an idea, last year we booked in 1,210 people into jail.
And it was a down year.
And it was a down year because of COVID, because we didn't allow certain misdemeanors to come in, nonviolent. In 2022, so far this year, we booked in 325. And we have, in the month of March, have already booked in 87 people. We quit the COVID stuff because it is creating a problem outside of, people are getting used to, okay, I can go steal a 6-pack of beer and they're not gonna take me to jail. Well, then that person continues to do it, and it's creating a backlog of cases for the district and county and all that. So everybody's coming to jail now. The thing about it is, every one of these people has to be arraigned by a magistrate, which is fixing to, with all this new stuff coming about, is fixing to be a nightmare.
So we have come up with a solution, at least a temporary solution. Judge Collins, who, I don't know if y'all are aware of this, but during COVID situation, she did all the magistrate for us. It was just to, number one, if you've only got one person, when they have to go to the jail and stuff, it just makes it easier if you just had that one person. Well, she did that for a couple of years for us. And so I don't think she got the recognition that she probably should have got for doing that for us. She did among the people that she did it for, but maybe not the court and the general public were not aware of that. And of course, you know, her situation with COVID was greatly enhanced because she not only did all the magistrate, but then in her duties as JP were greatly increased because of the situation also. So what she has done, and she has stepped forward and said that she would do all the magistrate because, so that means she would do it 7 days a week. Lots of it you can do on Zoom now, so, but then sometimes she's got to come in and do it. And she's going to have to be the initial person to go through this process and I guess work out all the kinks that there's going to be, because you can't tell me you're going to implement something and you don't have the forms ready till the day before it's required and there not be issues. And so what she has volunteered to do is to do that until we can sort of get, what do you say, situated? Yeah, we're going to have to do it. All the magistrates are going to have to go through the training and everything. So it's not like we're getting out of anything, because at some point in time in court, you're going to have to set a bond on somebody. And so we're all going to have the training. But this will enable us to allow Sharon to work out the kinks in it, and then she can be our facilitator in person that can walk us through the process of how to generate reports and all that stuff. Now,
A lot of this, excuse me,
no, go ahead.
goes into more in-depth stuff. I mean, Harold, Jimmy will probably kind of understand this. Once a bond is set on somebody, at some point there'll be a bond reduction hearing. Under the new rules and everything that's coming down off this act, the magistrate that sets the bond, the original bond, is the one that has to have the bond reduction hearing. So you've got JP3 doing arraignments, you've got Judge Hernandez doing arraignments, you've got both district judges doing arraignments, you've got the county judge doing arraignments. What we're trying to do is to work out the bugs on this program, learn all the little secrets and everything to streamline this for 6 months to a year, and then turn around and we can revisit it in a year's time after we get everything lined out. I can tell you from the last 2 days, I've been watching all this on Zoom hearings and Zoom meetings. The state ain't got all this stuff worked out. They're saying, okay, disregard these 2 boxes, because when these 2 boxes, when it goes live Monday, these 2 boxes won't even be here. I mean, they're still working it out. It's fixing to be a nightmare to get through and work it out. We're just trying to streamline it to where it minimizes the impact, but we still do it. From my understanding, every county in the state of Texas is gonna do this, or they're gonna start messing with your grant money. Now, I don't have no grant money at the sheriff's department, but adult probation does, juvenile probation does. There's a lot of grant money that comes in from the state, and if we're not complying, that's where they're gonna get you.
Okay, and so y'all are probably thinking this is all real fascinating and stuff, but,
Yeah.
and you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. Well, Sharon did it for 2 years during COVID without any extra compensation. I don't think it's right to ask her to take on this job and this responsibility without additional compensation, because you're talking somebody that's gonna have to work 7 days a week. And so, what Sharon and I had talked about was looking at maybe a annual addition of about $15,000. We will revisit this at budget time, because hopefully by budget time, we'll sort of know a lot more about it. And hopefully by then, she'll be so sick of doing it that she wants everybody else to join back in and doing it. And hopefully by that time, we'll have people trained so that we could do that, okay? Now, I had told her that I would try to get my training as quickly as I could, because I don't care who you are, you're gonna need some relief person if you're working 7 days a week. And I had told her that I would try to do what I could do so that I could expedite it and maybe assist her when she needed help in doing that. And she's probably thinking I would be the last person she wants, because every time I have duty weekend, she has duty weekend, because I call her every time. So, but anyway, that's what we're looking at. And so just decide, think about it over the weekend, and we'll present it in official form. I wish we had a little more time to kick it around and have y'all learn a little more about it. But April 1st is next Friday. And so, like I said, that's when all this will kick into effect. So that is what the probably more than you would ever want to know about that, but
Senate Bill
there it
6
is.
has been the bane of, it's such sweeping changes. And I think in the meeting where we talked about it the other day, it affects so many people, the jail big time, the magistrates, the clerks, and every report that has to go in. And, you know, my concern is I don't want to be case law, and I don't want Hale County to be case law. So,
Well, and the other thing is, besides Hale County and the other counties, this is that kinder, gentler, okay, if you don't have a criminal history really and you come in on a Class B theft, we're probably gonna let you sign your own bond and just release you. Well, now we have to figure out how to notify them people to come to jail. Who's gonna do this? Who's gonna do that? But when the bonding companies find out about this across the state of Texas, come next legislature, they will be down there in force, because that is their livelihood of bonding these people out. And if we're turning them loose on just their signature,
and
that
their
ain't gonna
word.
cut it, so.
Well, you know, the thing about it, we've relied on bonding companies, because when they make a bond to get out on that theft charge, the bonding company's gonna ensure that they know when to be at court and things like that, because their money's on the line. And when their money's not on the line, and it's just that person that signed that, all they are gonna know is, hey, I'm out of jail, you know? And so, like I said, it's going to be a unique situation. The only thing I can say, we're not in it alone. It's going to be everywhere.
Yeah, 54 counties.
And I do know some of the larger to even medium counties have gone in and hired people to do magistrate. You know, that's all they do. Of course, Harris County, they do it 24/7. They have a magistrate that works like the night shift that you would somewhere else.
Another county has two. They run, I think, every 12 hours, Chris.
And so,
About.
Yes, sir, roughly, because it used to be, I want to say it was about every 6 to 8 hours, and then they changed it over time. It just became too much.
well, here's the other thing we forgot to tell you. All this has to be done within 48 hours, which normally is not an issue, but Friday night tends to be a big night for people to get in trouble. And so when you go to a magistrate on Saturday, that report has to be generated and sent in before Monday, you know, and so you would have to generate that before Sunday anyway, on Sunday anyway. And so, like I say, it's gonna be a learning curve and we'll see how it goes. And I guess we'll talk more on Monday about if y'all approve it, where the funding will come from. So. All right, the next item is Judge Collins.
Oh, okay. Basically, Judge Davis and I were talking, we are gonna come and ask if we can switch. We would like to change our place where we get our autopsies done. Right now, we're currently with South Plains Forensics Pathology, been with them since 2009. Services kind of have declined, and just to give you an idea, like in 2021, in my numbers, I had 60 inquests. About 14 of those were sent for autopsy, and the waiting period has extended. You know, 2 of them only took about a month. Usually it would be 30 to 45 days. Now wait time begins at 60 days. Some of them are 90 days. Some of them are 120 days. 2 from December I'm still waiting for. You know, so basically what that means is I have families calling me every week wanting to know if I have an autopsy report back to tell me, number one, what their loved one died of, and number 2, they cannot complete their business affairs to take care of it. The company that has come in is Dr. Louisa Flores. It's called Texas Panhandle Forensics. She worked with Dr. Parsons at South Plains for years, and that had been one of her concerns, is that they were not getting the reports out to the people. And it's not just Hale County, it's all the counties that are in this area. And I didn't realize how bad it had gotten until some of the judges got to talking about the wait time. So the current contract that we're under, we have to give them a 30-day notice to terminate. And Dr. Flores, like I said, she's an amazing lady to work with. And all of her staff that are with her right now, that because she basically bought one, opened it up, and the staff that's with her are the staff that were at South Plains. They went with her. So we already know the work that they do, so we didn't have any qualms about knowing that they would be able to provide the services that we needed. So that's what we'll be asking for Monday, is to allow Mr. Tyree to send a termination letter to South Plains, and then Dr. Flores will be preparing a contract so that we can ask y'all to approve that contract. But we didn't want to get the cart before the horse and not get terminated properly before we presented contract. So that's what we're asking for.
Okay. Any questions, Sharon?
What will that do to the ones that are currently in the process of getting the autopsies?
Well, we'll
reports
have to
done?
let them finish it, and they'll be paid for that. And now, the family that's still waiting from November, when she called me yesterday, I just told her, you know what, I gave her the number. I said, call the office yourself, sweetheart. I'm so sorry, but they've been calling since November, and all I can say is I don't know. I don't have it. So that's kind of been the consensus, is the judges are giving them the number and letting them call and see if they can light a fire under it. So,
Okay.
yeah, but they'll finish what we have there, and I'll have to continue to use them until the end of the 30 days.
Yeah.
But knowing that I won't have answers for a while, so.
Okay. Anything else, Judge Collins? All right, thank you. All right, the next item is the sheriff's office.
That's got personnel.
Okay. We've heard from Jim about his issues, his items. That brings us to Carla and her issues.
Her
so-
issues.
You know, when I'm setting up computers, I buy the computer and then I go to a different company and buy Office. And so I purchased some Office programs. And so what I'm asking is if we can just pay for the Office programs out of the computer fund for these computers. Because when somebody calls and says, how much is a new computer, and let me check my budget, I shoot them the price of the new computer, and I never remember to add the Office, but we have money in the computer fund to pay for that, and so it's kind of like paying for a computer program. So that's one thing I'm asking for. And then also, I had set up a laptop for Vicky, and I'm asking to have that laptop paid for out of the computer fund. And then the third thing is, in our jury room, we have we're back to normal using our jury room and everything. And we had a jury trial this week, and they, when they were shown the video in the courtroom, it's projected on a huge wall, and they could see everything. And so then the jury wanted to take the computer, see the video again, so we took the computer back there. And 16 years ago, when we moved over there, I had purchased a small TV for them to watch on. Well, now the computer, it wasn't much bigger than the computer screen. So what we're asking for is to get a larger TV and hang it on the wall in there. And so then all we have to do is just plug it into the laptop and start it. Yesterday, I kind of had to stay in there with the jury, which is, not always great, but so I got it going and everything. And this way, if we have that TV, they plug the laptop in, hit the button, and everybody's good to go, and I get out of there. So and Melinda's going to figure out where we're going to pay for the TV.
Yeah, I may look at Fund 14, since it's for the jury. I'm gonna look at that fund to see if we can. If not, probably the computer fund
Okay.
is what we're gonna look at, but I'm gonna look at both of those to see.
You can buy a large TV now for
Yes.
not a whole lot of money.
Well,
One of my
it
jurors
was
told me
suggested.
that. One of my jurors.
Poor Carla.
But any questions of Carla? All right, thank you. Of course, the next item is crisis of the plains. Christine McEntee's going to be here about a Pitney Bowes lease for the DA's office. Item number 12, I'm going to cover, and then I'm going to excuse myself because I've got a meeting in Lubbock at noon. And so, but Samantha Yancey, she is a CPS worker. CPS has, the state of Texas, for whatever reason, and I was not aware of this, but they have contracted CPS services for our region from the state to St. Francis's Hospital in Amarillo. And St. Francis informed them that they would no longer supply them office space. The CPS office here was where the crisis of the plains offices were. And so those ladies were told that they would no longer have that office space, that they could either work from their home or from common areas. And so that creates an issue for them. And so we were visiting with them earlier in the month, and I had made mention that they may come and ask the court for an office space only, and they understand that it would not be ADA compliant or anything, but if they could maybe occupy a couple of the offices above Deborah and them up in the extension area. She said they wouldn't need anything. They have Wi-Fi's for their internet service. They have laptop computers. Basically, they have cell phones. They just need a place to work from that's not at their home. And so they would arrange meetings with the people they provide services to. I've offered them use of my courtroom if I'm not in there, where they could meet with them. And I thought about even asking if we would allow them maybe to meet on the third floor if they needed to. They just need a place where if they have people that come to visit, that they have access to an elevator and things like that. And so she's going to come Monday and asked if the court would consider allowing them to have a office space above where Deborah and them are working in the old juvenile probation building. So, and then the next item is Commissioner Precinct 1.
I don't actually have the interlocal agreement yet, or the numbers. Tim Crosswhite was supposed to get them to me, but I'll have them Monday. But it is basically kind of what I did last year. The city does their seal coat bids for their streets inside the city limits. And I tagged on with them last year and got a couple of streets done, so that's what I'm working on right now. And I will have all that Monday morning with the numbers, and I hope I don't pass out for how much it's gonna cost. And if it's too much, we're not doing it.
All right. And then our last item is Commissioner Precinct 4.
All right, I bought a diesel tank a couple of years ago, and this is part of finishing up. I need a dispenser to get the fuel out of the tank, and the company is requiring 60% down to buy the dispenser because nobody's carrying anything in stock, and so they're requiring that pay. We'll finish it.
You go put it up and then wait a while to fill it?
I gotta have a dispenser there to get fuel out, so I didn't put nothing in it yet.
So, all right. And that concludes our agenda for today. Thank y'all for your attention, and have a good weekend. I'll see y'all on Monday. At 10, we'll stand adjourned at 10:15 a.m.